Today we're going to be using the Guardian Safety and Survival Simulator to demonstrate and practice a confined space rescue. There are 3 criteria that need to be met to constitute a confined space. These are: it must not normally be inhabited by humans, it must have a limited means of egress and entry, and it must be big enough for a human to work or perform a task in. Confined spaces are not limited to one type of area. They can be found in urban environments, suburban, and rural. Manholes, silos, rail cars all constitute a confined space. There are a multitude of reasons why a confined space rescue needs to occur. These rescues are not unusual. It could be a worker that has been caught in machinery, it could be a child that has fallen down a hole, or it could just be a person who has been overcome by the atmosphere within the hole itself. There's a chance that one of these rescues might involve one of your own. It is imperative, though, that only trained individuals enter these confined spaces. It does no good if an untrained rescuer goes down into a hole and becomes the victim themselves. If this happens, the rescue team is now trying to rescue 2 victims. Today we're going to be simulating a worker who has fallen down a hole. He is complaining of lower leg pain and needs a vertical extrication through the top of the hole. 2 rescuers are then going to be lowered through the top of the hole using a tripod. They're going to stabilize the victim, assess his injuries, and remove him through the top. In order to simulate this confined space rescue, we're going to be using the Guardian Safety and Survival Simulator. It offers a hatch at the top of the roof which simulates a ground level entry and exit to a confined space. On top of the simulator today, we have a tripod set up over the hatch. This will simulate a ground level entry into an underground confined space. The initial steps to a confined space are no different than any other incident in the fire department. You must first do a size up and request the resources that are needed. After that, you're going to create an incident action plan. This is where you go into the details of the specific rescue. You then need to assess, manage, and mitigate the hazards and risks that can be done before entering the hole. As with any other incident that you might be involved in, there are 3 main incident priorities, and these must be adhered to in the correct order. First is the preservation of life. This is not just the victim, but also the rescuers themselves. Second is the incident stabilization. Third is property conservation. In this simulated confined space rescue, we're going to lower 2 rescuers to a victim located at the bottom of the hole. They're going to assess the patient, package the patient, and then remove the patient. Before we go to the top of the simulator and perform this rescue, let's take a look at the packaging. There are many devices and methods to packaging a patient. The most important aspect to any of these devices is to make sure your rescue crew is well versed in its use. Here we're going to be using the rescue sked. 2 rescuers approach the victim and roll the sked out. They fold each flap back to help assist to keep the sked flat while loading the patient. Loading the patient is similar to loading a patient onto a backboard. They will roll the patient to the opposite side of the sked and roll him back on top of it. Once centered on the sked device, they will then begin to ratchet down the cross straps. After all cross straps have been secured, one rescuer will then move down and attach the feet straps. They will then take approximately 20-foot piece of rope, split in half with a figure 8 on a bight, and start weaving the rope through the grommets on the sked down the sides. The rescuers need to verify that the figure 8 on the bight is centered above the victim's head. Once centered, a box knot will be tied between the victim's legs at the bottom of the sked. Although packaging the patient on a rescue sked in an open area looks easy, the physical hazards of a confined space greatly complicate the task. Restricting your training to only open areas in ideal situations will give you a false sense of security. It is imperative that these rescue trainings be done in the most realistic environment. Not only will it tax you physically, but it will also tax you mentally. Now that we're on top of the simulator, we're going to go into the evolution of what we're going to do. As you can see, we have an open hatch where a victim has fallen down. Although this is a non-permit required confined space, we still would like to monitor all the hazards related to atmospheric conditions. This needs to be done at every level that the rescuer will travel through, top, middle, or bottom. For this evolution, we are using a winch raising and lowering system. The second point of contact is going to be a belay device using a rope system using a prusik. This is because there is no ladder going down into the hole. At all times, there must be 2 points of contact. Because of the complexity and severity of confined space rescues, there are a number of roles that need to be met. First, there needs to be a supervisor position that oversees the entire operation. There also needs to be a safety that makes sure all safety measures are met and all hazards are mitigated that can be mitigated. For each rescuer, there needs to be an attendant.
Hook it in the hole line. Hook it in the safety line. Making sure it's hard tied.
Checking his lines, checking the hole, checking his belay, checking his tag. I'm also checking our air monitoring system. The reports, all levels are clear.
Command to communications. We'll be sending one rescuer into the confined space. All air monitoring levels are within normal limits. Rescuers entering the confined space at 12:30 hours.
Guardian 1 to command. I've located one adult patient, conscious and breathing, appears to have a leg injury. I'm going to need a sked and an additional rescuer.
Command copy. Command to communications. I have a second rescuer entering the confined space at this time, 12:35 hours. Got an adult male, conscious, looks like a
As you
broken
can
leg.
see, as the rescuers approach the victim, there's much less room to maneuver as compared to outside in an open area.
We've located an adult male victim with a broken leg.
The rescuers have to take full advantage of the area that they do have, as to not overexert the movements that they're already doing.
Rescuer 1 to command. We are packaging the patient with the SCED rescue device.
As they prepare to package the patient, they unroll the sked next to the patient.
Spin out.
This is not an easy operation in tight quarters.
Yeah, are we gonna roll in?
Yes.
And although it's not
Straps out of the way.
comfortable for the victim itself,
It's gonna be your call, rolling towards the wall.
it's a life and death situation,
1, 2, 3.
and we're looking at protecting the victim and limiting the injuries that he's
Roll
sustained.
down.
Yes.
Down. We position him to my right. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
We'll scat over. Okay. I'm gonna work on attaching these.
The rescuers will now begin to tie the straps that wrap around the patient on the skateboard.
You work on the top too,
Yep.
and I will attach the feet.
Alright, all the straps are secure. Just gotta tighten.
Okay, we got one leg left to do.
Alright, top 2 are secure. Alright, all chest straps are secure.
Okay.
The drag handle out.
Okay. Feet secure.
Good.
Everything snug.
Rescue 1 to command.
Go ahead, Rescue 1.
We have the patient packaged in the SCED and we're going to begin extraction. Come up here.
With the bridle attached to the sked, the rescuers will now position the victim to be dragged to the point of entry.
1, 2, 3, just spin. Alright. Ready on the count of 3, slow. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
You want to do this, Billy?
On slow.
It's recording now. You want to go in the back and get that hole?
Commander Rescuer 1, are you prepared to raise the victim?
Prepare to raise victim.
Command copy, raise the victim.
inches off the ground. Continue to raise slow.
We're maxed up.
Command and communications, the patient has been extricated. We are now preparing to raise the second rescuer.
Now that this confined space simulation is done, as the victim, how do you think it went?
I think it went well. I think ideal environments is not ideal training. I think you have to be very comfortable with being uncomfortable when simulating real life training.
That's a big part of confined space. The techniques and methods are fairly simple. It's putting it in a confined space with limited maneuverability is what makes it difficult.